Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about finding the metaphysical in the mundane. And today you've tuned into one of my videos in a series called Waaay Out Wednesdays, which is the acronym of WOW. So thanks for tuning in. So we're going to talk today, or I would say that my spirit guides are going to talk today. I'm going to sort of come along for the ride, so to speak. So I am channeling this. They wanted this topic to be finding the metaphysical in the mundane, because we all want guidance, right? As humans, honestly, I often see, when I think about my human experience, when I step into the observer role and I look at Susan operating in her life, energetically, if I was to say energetically, what does Susan look like when she's operating in her life? And a lot of times, especially before I started finding the metaphysical in the mundane, I saw myself in a cave, literally pitch black cave, feeling around with my hands. This is a wall. Oop, that's space. I don't know what that is. Am I on a cliff? Let me feel with my foot. No, there's more to go. That's a very painstaking, slow process, right? If you think about it like that, we're inching along in our lives, literally inching along, feeling our way through our lives. Now, what I used to think is that so if you don't know anything about me, God bless you. Welcome. So I'm in the middle of my life and I could always see ghosts and I could always see energies, but I didn't know I was a medium. I didn't know I was psychic. How could I know that? Society doesn't teach us any of this, right? Society just says, you're going to be a CPA, you're going to be a photographer, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to work in, the labor force in whatever way. Your priority is this, your priority is that. We get this information from our parents. We get this information from our society, right? So we're sort of pigeonholed, if you will, to a large degree. And we try our best, right? We try to break out of those binds. We try to break out of those ideas of who we should be or what we are. But even when we do, we don't have any insight, right? We don't. The only insight we have or the only insight that we recognize or we acknowledge is society. Oh, you're smart. Oh, your guidance counselor says, oh, you should probably go into this career. You are really good with your hands, or you're really good in this. You should go into this career. Or, you really think like this career would be good for you. Or perhaps you just say, I'm not participating in this BS. I'm just going to do whatever I need to do to pay the bills and get by, because I just feel like this whole thing is a sham, right? I'm not going to participate. So whatever it was, this is how you came up with your ideas, your thoughts about what you're going to do. Now, we are all guided. We all have spirit guides and we're all guided. Our spirit guides want to help us follow our soul's path. Now, your soul's path can be anything. It can be being a neurosurgeon, or it could be being the dog catcher. It doesn't really matter. It's really truly not about your career. It's about how you're expressing yourself. Are you a healer? Are you a person that helps others? Are you a person that solves problems? You can do all of those things in almost any career. So it's really not about the career per se, as it is, are you expressing what you came here in this physical body to express, that your soul wanted to learn? So let's get to finding the metaphysical in the mundane, because this is the key, you guys. This is literally the key. I'm actually filming this on Lionsgate 8/8, and it was 8/18 when I started this video. So these energies have power, and we can ignore them, and that's fine. It's not like it's going to hurt you to ignore them, but you can also harness them and use those as little booster rockets to travel further, to become more, to experience more. So I've talked a lot in my videos about spirit guides. I've done so many videos about spirit guides, but today they really wanted me to talk about finding the metaphysical in the mundane, because that's where your spirit guides are. That's how they operate. It's so gentle. It's so insignificant. To be honest with you, it's truly insignificant, because 3D non-physical or non-physical energy is not physical energy. It doesn't represent as physical energy. It's not like your spirit guides smack you upside the head and say, Susan, you're missing this opportunity over here. It's just not, it doesn't come like that. Very rarely would you get a very strong, energetic indication that would be so strong that it snaps you out of the mundane, it snaps you out of your everyday 3D life and brings you to a halt. It does happen, but probably once to twice in your entire life. Once to twice in your entire life, you had divine inspiration. You had an aha moment. You zigged instead of zagging, right? Yeah, these things happen and they can happen, but they're not very common. What's more common is the fact that the metaphysical is operating in your mundane. And let's talk about how they're guiding you every day. And you may be sort of missing that guidance. Now, there's no punishment. There's absolutely no judgment here, because humans on Earth are doing something so incredibly important and so incredibly hard that we have their respect. Okay, they truly love us unconditionally, and they respect us more than you could imagine. This is a very challenging existence. It's a very challenging placement for our soul to be in this life, mainly because we have free will. We have no guardrails. So we can, we can go off the trail as far as we want. We can meander wherever we want. We can, we could do whatever we want, whether that's good or bad. We have open season to go wherever you want. So that makes it difficult here. And then on top of that, we have a lot of overlays of judgment and control and whatever that is for you and your culture, or you and your family system, or you and where you live in the world, has created these kind of invisible rules. We don't do that. We always do this, right? And when you try to step out of line, those familial structures and those social structures will come in and try to bring you back in line. Okay, so the mundane, that's sort of the mundane, isn't it? That's the human being and human doing, and just do. I'm on the hamster wheel. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you realize at some point, this isn't really working for me. It's not really what I want. I might be unhappy. I might be having an existential crisis, in the sense that I've traveled all the way down this path, and now I'm in a box canyon. Now I'm at a dead end, and I don't understand, because I thought I was doing everything the right way. I thought I was doing everything that my parents, my family, my society, my culture, my religion wanted me to do. And yet here I am, and I'm unhappy about it. So that leads you into a serious existential crisis, or a midlife crisis, right? So the guides want to talk about this a little bit, just a little bit, because if you are in this place, they want to help you. They want to give you some guidance on how to correct, not correct is the wrong word, how to maneuver or make some different choices, right? And correct is a very human term. It implies you've done something wrong and you've got to fix this. The spirit guides are like, you didn't do anything wrong. You experienced and you expanded your soul. Nothing is wasted. All of these decisions that you made to get to the place where you are now, where perhaps you're not happy, or perhaps you feel like you're at a dead end and you don't know what to do, all of those decisions were lessons and rich learning experiences for your soul. And these learning experiences are not wasted because your soul never dies. Your soul is going to go on to experience a new existence, perhaps in another human incarnation. And those experiences that you took the time in this lifetime to accumulate, even if you feel like they were all the wrong decisions, it's knowledge. Your soul learned the lesson, and these lessons will be passed on to any incarnations that the soul does in the future. So nothing is wasted. It's not just about you and your soul in this lifetime. It's about giving these gifts of experiences to future souls, or not future souls, future soul experiences, future soul incarnations. Okay? So please don't think that you've wasted your life or that you've wasted these years, because you didn't waste. You gave valuable lessons and experiences to your soul, which will help the next incarnation. Your soul will be more expert. Your soul will know more, right? They often use the term that a experienced sailor, doesn't become experienced if they're only sailing in calm seas. You don't become an expert in anything if you're never challenged. If you're never challenged, you're never growing. So if you find yourself in this place where you feel like you're in a box or in a box canyon or at a dead end, and you really don't know what to do, and you feel like you have some regrets that are piling up, the thing to do, the guides would say briefly, is to honor all of it, to honor it and say, I chose these experiences. I chose these lessons, and I want to honor them. And I want to honor my soul for doing this journey, for experiencing this journey. I want to honor myself. I did the best I could. I made the best choices that I could at the time. This is where we get incongruent, where we get out of resonance with our own selves, because we grow and then we understand things in a new way. And then we look back at the person we were and we judge that person. Well, that's not very fair, right? That's not very fair, because you know things now that you didn't know then. How fair is it to judge that person? Allow that person to have made the decisions that they made, and know that because that person chose this difficult journey, you now know things that you couldn't have known if you didn't take the journey to get here to this box canyon, right? So honor that. That part of you that took that journey is an important part of how you got to where you are, and you know what you know. You couldn't be where you are without having taken that journey. So first of all, it's important to wrap some love around the whole thing. Be gentle with yourself. You owe everything to that person. You owe everything to those decisions that was making those wrong decisions, because you are who you are today based on that. So now we have a sense of gratitude. Oh my gosh, I'm grateful to Susan for, going through that cave where she couldn't see anything and couldn't feel anything and felt really lost and really didn't have a good idea of where she was going. I'm grateful to every decision that I made, good or bad, because it made me the person I am today. If you can find a way to be grateful and to bring all of those experiences and all of those versions of yourself home, integrate them all into you. Understand you are who you are today because of all of those. And they make you stronger and more resilient and closer to the divine than ever. So now, once we bring all of these home to us, and we spend some time integrating and healing and accepting and just talking to ourselves, right? Talking to those versions of ourselves that at every point in our life that stands out to us as having done something wrong or having been done wrong too, having been a victim, or maybe having been insensitive to others, whatever it is. Let's integrate it all as you can. You may not be able to bring all that in right now. You may have to bring it just into the room with you. Imagine the room you're in. Imagine all those decisions are in your room. How does that make you feel? Edgy, irritated, that's okay. Be okay with all of those feelings, because this is how we integrate. This is how we accept everything. It may be emotional. You may wish to cry. You may wish to be a little sad, or whatever the feelings, they're going to come and go. Allow them to come and go. Try and get to a point where you can bring all of it into the same room with you and just see how that feels for a while. This process can take days, hours, weeks, months. It's up to you. And there's nobody keeping any time here. This is for you to do when you feel up to it, when you feel like you want to do it. And you might find that you need to push everybody out, all those versions of yourself out, and give them their own rooms and say, you know what, I'll deal with each of these rooms when I have time or I feel like it. But right now, at least I'm acknowledging them, and I'm going to give them all their own room. And when I'm ready, I'll pull that version of me or that scenario or that situation that I experienced. I'll pull it out and I'll work with it. You can do this process any way you want. You don't even have to do the process. You can just listen to me and decide, yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's fine too. It's perfectly fine. The next way to get out of this situation, this box canyon, is to understand, and it's a different way of doing the way we just talked about. A different scenario would be, imagine that this house is your energetic house, and it's the house that you created, and it's the house you're stuck in, or the box canyon, or the dead end, or whatever it is. It's a structure. It's a structure. It could be your work, it could be relationship, it could be anything. It's a separate structure that represents something that you've built throughout your whole life, or something that's happened to you throughout your whole life, whether you built it or somebody else did it to you, however it happened, and now you feel stuck. Now, the thing that we want to do when we realize that this is not fitting us anymore, we're growing spiritually, and we're growing in all different kinds of ways of our awareness, this isn't going to work. I don't feel comfortable here. Fill in the blank. Relationship, family, location, job, career, familial, status, whatever it is. You don't feel comfortable. You feel hemmed in, controlled. You feel dead end, stuck. Okay. Now, what we would typically do is say, we would be punitive. We would say, this is wrong, right? Because we need the energy to be able to leave a situation. So sometimes to leave a situation, we need to vilify it. We need to punish it. We need to say, this is wrong, and this is why this is wrong. It was never right for me. You were never right for me. This career was never right for me. I did it because I had pressure from XYZ. I should never have done it. Now you're just having a fit, because anger gives us energy. Anger gives us energy. So sometimes we use anger to get out of a situation because it gives us energy to do so. Another option is to say, rather than being punitive or rather than being angry, another way to do this is to say, I've grown and I'm different now. And this is no judgment on my past decisions. This is no judgment on those people around me. This is no judgment on my career, no judgment on my parents, my religion, my society, my culture. It's no judgment on any of that because I honor that, because that's what brought me here. But I'm also going to tell you that you don't fit anymore. I love you. I love me. And I'm honoring me. Therefore, I'm going to exit this side door. I'm simply going to exit the side door. I'm not going to burn it down. I'm not going to blow it up. I'm not going to go back and punish or accuse or demean myself, my decisions, or those people around me, my career, my bad boss, my bad spouse. I'm not going to demean any of that. I'm going to acknowledge them as I would, as a wise elder would, knowing that I've lived all this time. All these decisions made me who I am. Therefore, I'm honoring that. I'm honoring that I've learned. I'm honoring that you've sculpted and shaped me into the person that I am now, who no longer needs these lessons. And I'm exiting out the side door, right? Exiting out the side door doesn't mean necessarily, it can mean, but it doesn't have to mean that you cut ties with all of that. It simply means you allow yourself to exit the structure that was the dead end, the structure that was holding you back. Now, once you exit the side door, then this is really where finding the metaphysical and the mundane can really help you, because now it's as if you're reborn. It's as if you're new again, right? Because you don't have the structure defining you. Whatever that structure is, a relationship, a job, a career, a parent, a spouse, whatever it is, your health, whatever it is, you've exited out the side door. Now you're going to allow yourself to be completely new to the world. If I'm new to the world, that means that none of my history has any bearing on me. I'm going to allow myself to be reborn in this new energetic way. I'm going to allow myself to make completely different decisions. I'm going to allow myself to be guided now in ways that perhaps I wasn't open to, or I wasn't as in vibrational alignment with. Now, what does that mean? Like, vibrational alignment sounds like, what the heck is she talking about, right? So let's talk about that. As you exit these old structures, cages, prisons, whatever you want to call them, as you exit that, it can feel that you're vulnerable, but because you have the courage, because you've been through this incredible shaping of your life and your personality, you don't feel so vulnerable, because that takes a lot of self-preservation and self-strength to walk out of that kind of structure that's been holding you back. Okay. So you're not vulnerable. You're actually feeling quite accomplished, and you're actually feeling this energy of what is out in this new brave world. I'm ready. I'm ready to experience things that I've never thought I would experience. And I'm ready to participate in that. Okay. So now the metaphysical and the mundane, you're still in the mundane, because the mundane in this conversation represents our 3D world. So even though you've left the structure, you're still in the 3D world. You haven't ascended to some other planet. You're still trying to get to an appointment on time. You're still trying to work on being healthy, mentally and physically. You still have all the 3D human foibles and human characteristics. That has not changed. So now, to make the best of this, new, unfettered freedom, what would be really helpful is to learn how the spirit guides are guiding you. So making the best of this unfettered new world would be making space to be guided, finding the metaphysical in the mundane. So here's some steps to do that. First of all, even if you don't leave your structure, it doesn't matter. Even if the structure part of this conversation didn't make any sense to you and you're not ready to leave the structure and you don't feel like you're in a dead end, that's okay. Because the steps that I'm about to tell you now apply to everyone, regardless of where you are on your journey. Okay. This is just about having the awareness of how your spirit guides are guiding you. The more space you can make for them to communicate with you, the more guidance you'll have, and the more you'll be on your soul's path. So some people are saying, Susan, just tell me my soul's path. Well, it's not that easy, right? If I told you to just go to this city, you wouldn't know how to get there. You wouldn't know what road to take, right? You wouldn't know what airline or what, you wouldn't know how to get there. So it doesn't work like that. All of the things that we're doing here as humans on this planet, in this incarnation, is all about the journey. All of it is about the journey. Your soul is literally just traipsing through your human experience, grabbing experiences and lessons and love and experiencing all of it. It wants to experience the highs and the lows. It wants to experience all that life has to offer here on this planet, which as a dualistic planet is everything. Again, the highs, the lows, everything in between. You understand that you're not probably going to get the X marks the spot. You're not going to get the treasure map with the X, with the routes to go find the treasure, but you are going to be guided at every step of the way. Okay. And you can tap into this guidance, and you can also disengage from the guidance. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be there for you. As we 3D humans go through our lives, we're challenged. Sometimes we cannot connect with spirit because we're too busy dealing with, the dumpster fire that can sometimes be our lives, right? Hey, I'm just doing everything I can right now to kind of keep a level head, keep my head above water. I don't have time to be listening to the spirit guides. I'm in a real pickle here, right? No problem. Trust that they're still guiding you. But the key here is as we go through our human lives and we have a dumpster fire, or we have the highest, most amazing points of our lives, whatever that is, the habit, the trait to develop is to have some sort of spiritual practice, right? Whether that is meditation, or whether that is meditation through walking, exercising, art, music. There's lots of ways to allow the spirit guides to connect to you. And that is the mundane. People say, I wasn't doing anything and I had a stroke of inspiration. I wasn't doing anything and I had this aha moment that changed my life. That's the mundane right there. I wasn't doing anything. And yet I had this idea that changed my life. This is how the metaphysical communicates, is through the mundane, through your everyday life, but where you create spaces for them to be able to connect with you. So if you find yourself in a part of your life where you're just doing, and you're going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, frankly, this is how we end up at some period of time later in our lives in a dead end, because we're in reactionary mode. We're reacting to this, we're reacting to this, we're taking care of this, we're taking care of that. We're reacting to the stimulus that life is providing. You're not actually walking your own path. You're reacting to other people's drama, other people's needs. And we do that sometimes because it's safer than thinking about what we want, what we need. Because sometimes in our childhood, that wasn't a safe thing to even consider. So we've locked up in a room, in a closet, what we need, what we want, to keep it safe so that nobody can tell us, that's crazy. You want to be a this? You're not smart enough for that. You only have to hear that one time, and you'll never probably overcome that. You'll never be that. You'll never exercise that. It'll stay locked away. But luckily, as we go into this new energetic time frame, we're more guidable. We're more guidable. So even if you are in this period of your life where you're reacting, odds are spirit guides are going to really come and get your attention. But we don't really want to wait to then. So if you are in this place where you're reacting, this is your heads up. This is your call. This is your message from your own spirit guides to say, slow down, put up some boundaries, pull back, see your life as an observer. What are you running from? What are you hiding from that you don't want to know about? Be gentle with yourself if you're discovering this, because being hard on yourself doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It makes us more angry. It separates us from spirit. So be gentle. They love you unconditionally. The mundane. Spirit guides talk to you via any possible thing they can. You can get aha thoughts in your brain out of left field. I don't know why I thought to do this. It was really out of left field, but I did it, and it was the best thing I ever did. We have really just tons of euphemisms on how to explain spirit is working with us. A little birdie told me, I feel it in my bones. I don't know how I know. Just trust me on this one. I know. That's all guidance. I had a stroke of inspiration. That's guidance. I had an aha moment. That's guidance. That's your spirit guides guiding you in the mundane of your life. The mundane areas of your life are rich with guidance. When you're doing the laundry, that's when you can get a stroke of inspiration. Mowing the lawn, driving long distances, playing music, doing art, exercising, walking, sitting in nature, fishing, any kind of activity where you're out of that rat race, that hamster wheel. So try and plug in more of those opportunities for you to get the guidance, number one. Number two, acknowledge when you do get it. Because we have these euphemisms, it allows us to say, a little birdie told me, and we never look any further. We never go any further about how did that happen? How did I get that? How did I get that idea? Where did that idea come from? We never, hardly ever sit with that and try to understand it, because instead we've come up with ways to explain it that require no explanation. I feel it in my bones. Well, what does that mean, Grandma? What does that mean, Dad? I don't know. It's just a saying we have. Well, I don't understand. I don't understand how you can feel it in your bones. I can't explain it, son. It's just a saying we have. We brush it off. We don't allow further thinking or further acknowledgement. So I'm giving you, hopefully, the whatever you need, the rubber stamp that you need, the approval, whatever it is, to do this. I had a really amazing idea. This idea came to me in a dream. This idea came to me when I was listening to this song. All of a sudden, boom, it made sense to me. So how do we get more of that? How do we get more guidance? How do we get more metaphysical guidance in the mundane? Plug in the mundane. Allow yourself to do things where your mind wanders, whatever that is for you. We all have something that we can do where it's almost like our brain shuts down. Maybe it's sitting, looking at trees for you. Maybe it's listening to music. Our society, we're so busy these days. We used to just listen to music. Remember those days? Well, now we don't just listen to music. Music is part of 5 other things we're doing. We're listening to music while we're doing this. We're listening to music while we're doing that. We used to put a record on a record player and be intentional. There's a word for you, intentional. Plug it in, be intentional. Plug in these things so that your soul can speak to you. Plug in these things so that your mind can have a rest. Again, whether it's meditation, whether it's something, a rote like walking or swimming or working out or putting a puzzle piece together, doing some sort of hobby. These days, we are so busy. 40, 50 years ago, we had hobbies. We had more vacation time. We had more time to do things. These days, we have less and less time to do anything. And the only thing intentional we're doing these days is distracting ourselves or putting out dumpster fires, being reactionary. So the number one thing you can do is to find a little time every day or every week. 5 minutes. 5 minutes can make a big difference. For those of you, there's some suggestions would be, again, putting in some headphones, sitting in a chair. Hey, sit in your car. When you come home, spend an extra 5 minutes in your car. I just realized this. My dad, probably he was girding his loins for what he was going to find in our house, but he would literally sit in his truck for about 5 or 10 minutes before he came in the house. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing in there. I mean, this was way before cell phones. Honestly, he's probably preparing himself for the complete disaster that he was going to walk into. But you can do the same thing, right? You can sit in your car for an extra 5 minutes before you leave the house or after you come home. You can sit on the edge of your bed for 5 minutes before you lay down. You can spend an extra 5 minutes in the shower. You can spend an extra 5 minutes sitting on your back porch or your front porch. Leave your cell phone in the other room. Just sit there for 5 minutes. This is going to be a task for some of us because we're just not used to this. We've really gotten addicted to, I've really gotten addicted to my cell phone, right? If I have 5 minutes, I'm looking at the news, or I'm looking at this, or I'm looking at that, or I'm distracting myself with a funny video. That's how I unwind, right? Well, the guides can still speak to you through those portals, but it's harder because especially if you're watching the news or you're watching a TV show, your brain is really actively involved. And when your brain is really actively involved in something, it's really hard for your subconscious to get a message that sticks. So again, if you're the kind of person who likes to relax by learning, by constantly learning, watching educational shows, reading books, listening to books on tapes, if you're engaging your brain, your guides are not going to have a way to get a word in edgewise. What we want to do is disengage our brain. When we're putting a puzzle piece together, we're not really using our brain so much. When we're listening to music with our eyes closed, we're not using our brain. When we're on a treadmill or swimming or walking, we're not using our brain. We're checked out. Find ways to check out. Sometimes, when you're reading a book or you're watching something, you'll literally just become unfocused and disconnect from that and find yourself staring over to the side and just zoned out. That's okay. Your brain is taking a break. We've made zoning out to be bad because in our society, work is everything. Efficiency is everything. So taking a break to zone out is not really very it's not thought of as a good thing to do. It's not prized. It's not honored. Well, your spirit guides are telling you zoning out is a good thing, because that's how they're going to give you that guidance through that song on the radio while you're driving and you're zoning out. Now, the key is to catch the data, to catch the messages, and to act on them, right? Now, you really want to, in my opinion, you really want to get a couple of messages before. This is something that I do as a Virgo. Like, I get one message and I'm off to the races. Like, I got it. I got my message and I'm off to the races. I'm going to put that thing in action. Well, you have to understand, these messages are not going to be one and done. These are going to be multiple messages. So what I would like for you to do is write it down. If you see repeating numbers, write it down. If you hear a song on the radio and you think this made me feel or think this or know this, write it down. If you are pulling cards for yourself, write it down. If someone comes up to you and says, have you ever thought about becoming a volunteer? Have you ever thought about changing your career? Because my company has openings and you would be a great fit. Don't just blow that off. Write it down. Write it down. Over the course of a month, that's guidance. That's actionable guidance. One thing is a data point. 5 things is connect the dots, right? So we want to wait till we get enough guidance that we can connect all the dots and see, you know what, they're repeating this message. I keep getting this message repeated. That means it's really important. That means that I'm not paying attention to it. Move that message to the top of your to-do list, right? If you're getting just things that seem disparate, that are just like, that none of this makes any sense, none of these dots are connecting, then write them down. Over a period of time, it's all going to connect and it's going to create a picture for you to take action. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. It's kind of been all over the map, but I hope it's been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments. I genuinely appreciate you guys, allowing me to walk my soul's path. That is to communicate, to teach. So by you guys tuning in, I feel like I'm co-creating with you, and that makes me happy that I feel like I'm on my own soul's path. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this with you. Okay. Take really good care of yourself. We'll be in touch real soon.